She's already one of the most well-known figures in international finance, bringing with her a wealth of experience and a reputation as a trailblazer for women. In 2007, Christine Lagarde became the first female finance minister of France, an experience that French President Emmanuel Macron says could benefit her as ECB head.
She was the finance minister at a time when it was particularly complicated, as she faced the biggest finance and sovereign debt crises of the last decades.
Having earned credentials for shaping the French response to the financial crash, she went on in 2011 to become the first woman to head the International Monetary Fund. Her biggest challenge in that job, handling the Greek debt crisis. But her career has not been without controversy. In 2016, a French court convicted her of allowing the misuse of public funds. Lagarde was neither sentenced nor fined, and the IMF stood by its director. On Twitter, Lagarde said she was honoured by the nomination to head Europe's most important financial institution. During the nomination period, it will fall on her deputy, David Lipton, to take over the reins at the IMF. Responding to news of his boss's likely departure, he said his institution's loss would be the ECB's gain.
Top German economist Peter Bolfinger joins us to talk about Lagarde. What do you think about the pick?
Well, I think it's a very good choice, maybe not an excellent choice. She's a very qualified chief manager of the IMF. She's done a great job. One could say, well, wouldn't it have been better to have an economist as the head of the European Central Bank? She's a lawyer. And of course, the ECB will be challenged with very difficult topics in the next few months and years. So interest rates are extremely low. It's very difficult to get lower. There are developments like the cryptocurrencies that require very complicated answers. And so maybe an economist would have been better. But on the other hand, Lagarde has served at the IMF. She is deeply involved with macroeconomic issues, with issues like financial stability, and I'm sure she will do a very good job.
She's already clashed with Germany on things like the Greek debt crisis. So there has already been tension there between her and some member states. How do you think that'll play out with Germany being playing such a huge role as the EU's financier, really?
Well, this is true. I think she has urged Germany to do more, to have a deficit, to stimulate the economy, to try to reduce the surpluses. And I think she's right on that. And if she insists on this, it will be OK, because, as I said, the room for maneuver for monetary policy is extremely limited, but there's a lot of room for maneuver in fiscal policy. And if she urges Germany to do more, she's right.
What about her misuse of public funds during her time as French finance minister?
Well, this is a legal question. I cannot answer this. I think all French politicians have some legal problems, but I think if she's a qualified person and she will do a good job for Europe and for the euro, I think that is really what matters.
You mentioned she's not an economist. She doesn't have direct, active monetary policy experience, but we're also talking about someone who's not a technocrat. Usually a technocrat is chosen for a job like this, and a non-partisan technocrat. She does have the backing of Trump. Yeah. She knows a way around big organizations, like you said. But what do you think about her playing a role where she can't take favorites? She can't favor France, for example.
Well, I think the ECB's policy is a policy for the euro area as a whole. And I think this is what Mario Draghi has done. And if the euro area prospers, it's good for all member states. And so I think it's not a good idea to do favor to specific economies. But overall, the euro area is an entity. And I think doing something that's good for the euro area is good for all member states.
The euro area is also extremely factitious at the moment. Just lastly, how do you think she'll do at pulling together these very different economies?
Well, I think this is really a difficult job if you look at what's going on in Italy. And I think this is where you need some genius like Mario Draghi with his whatever it takes thing.
And could she emulate him?
I think she could. I think it's very difficult because Mario Draghi is a genius and he has done a much better job than his predecessors. But I think she has a quality to do the same.
Peter Bulfinger, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.